Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Today's story is about a selfish son who was abandoned by his own parents. There once lived a rich man with his wife in a big city. They had a son when they were in their late 30s, but it was love at first sight for both parents. You could say that they doted on the boy a little too much. He grew up into an arrogant, selfish young man who thought that he was superior to everyone else. No matter how hard his parents tried, they just couldn't control him. They did everything they could as parents, including hiring tutors to teach him manners and enrolling him in etiquette classes. But no matter what they did, the boy would not listen. He never listened to anyone except himself. And because of that, he had no friends. All the other kids didn't like him. One day, the boy's father said to him, "Son, you are out of control and we can't keep doing this anymore. We want to punish you and also help you learn some humility." The boy immediately replied, "Whatever punishment you give me, it will not be enough. If you really want to punish me, you should leave me alone in the middle of the desert without food or water. Only then would I understand what real suffering is." After hearing this, the boy's parents knew that they needed to do something drastic to save him. So while he was sleeping, they took him to the desert and left him there, thinking that he would learn a lesson after experiencing hunger and thirst. After leaving their son, the couple drove back home, feeling guilty and sad for having to abandon their own flesh and blood. But they hoped that this would make him grow up and change for the better. However, the next morning, they turned on the news and saw a report about a young man who was found wandering around the desert. When they watched closely, they realized it was their son. The news anchor said that the young man was dehydrated and confused, and that he kept repeating the same phrase over and over again. They couldn't hear what he was saying, but it looked very important. When the police asked him questions, he just stared at them blankly and slowly fell to the ground unconscious. As soon as the program ended, the couple rushed to the hospital where their son was being treated. To their surprise, the doctors told them that the boy was completely fine. The only thing wrong with him was that he was severely dehydrated and needed to be rehydrated. "How is this possible?" the parents asked. The doctor shrugged his shoulders and replied, "I don't know. Usually someone who stays in the desert without water for more than one day becomes seriously ill, but your son only had mild symptoms. He must have been rescued just in time." Then the doctor told the parents that their son was already conscious and waiting for them in the next room. When they entered the room, they saw their son sitting on the bed looking straight ahead. He had a bandage on his head and an IV drip in his arm. His face was pale and his eyes were dull. As soon as he saw his parents, he started yelling at them. "Why did you do this to me? Why did you leave me in the desert? Do you realize how thirsty I was? I was so thirsty. I felt like my throat was made of glass. It hurt so much. I don't ever want to feel like that again. Please never do this to me again." The parents were shocked. This wasn't the reaction they were expecting. They thought that their son would thank them for teaching him a lesson, but instead he was blaming them. "We did it for your own good," his mother said. The boy stood up from the bed and shouted, "You don't know anything. Leave me alone." Then he walked past his parents and left the hospital. They wanted to call him back, but he blocked them both. His anger towards his parents grew bigger and bigger every day. 1 month after the incident, the boy didn't even want to look at his parents. He still blamed them for what they did to him. Sometimes he would go for days without speaking a single word to them. One night, the boy couldn't take it anymore and ran away from home. He wandered around the city until he came across a park where he sat down on a bench. That's when he noticed a group of teenagers walking towards him. There were 4 of them, and they looked like they were up to no good. Suddenly, one of the boys grabbed the boy's wallet, which he had dropped while sitting down. The boy got angry and stood up. He started yelling at the boy who had taken his wallet, but the thief didn't listen. He kept walking. The boy chased after him, but it was no use. The thief was too fast for him. On his way home, the boy thought about what had just happened. He realized that he couldn't just run away from his problems. He had to do something about it. He couldn't believe that some random street thug could just walk up to him, steal his stuff, and get away with it. He had never experienced such humiliation before. At that moment, he wished he had his old life back, even if it meant having to listen to his parents. At least he wouldn't have to worry about being robbed. The next day, the boy went to the police station to report the theft, but the officers there didn't care. They told him that if he didn't have any proof that the guy had stolen his wallet, there was nothing they could do. The boy was desperate, but he had no choice. He had to find another way. So he called up an old school friend of his who worked as a private detective. The boy explained what had happened and asked if he could help him get his wallet back. "Of course, my friend," the detective said. "I'll get your wallet back, no questions asked." A few days later, the private detective called the boy and told him to meet him at an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. "That's where the guy who stole your wallet hangs out," the detective said. "But you have to come alone. If you bring anyone else with you, it won't work." The boy agreed and went to the warehouse alone. When he got there, he saw the private investigator talking to a skinny guy. The boy cleared his throat and said, "Are you here about my wallet?" The private investigator nodded his head. "Yeah, let's go outside and talk." As soon as they stepped out of the warehouse, the boy grabbed the skinny guy by the collar and shouted, "Where is it? Where did you hide my wallet?" The skinny guy was scared. "I swear I didn't steal your wallet. If I did, I would have given it back to you already, but I promise I don't know where it is." The boy didn't believe him, but he had no choice but to let him go. He thanked the private investigator for his help and went home. The next day, the boy woke up early and went to his parents' room. He knocked on the door, but they didn't answer. He knocked again, louder this time, and his parents opened the door. "Yes. What is it?" his mother asked. "I want to apologize for what I said and did to you," the boy said. "You were right. I am selfish and arrogant, and I don't deserve your love or support. I know that what I said to you was very cruel, and I will never forget what you did for me. I am sorry." His parents were shocked. For the first time in years, they heard their son speak kindly to them. They hugged each other tightly and cried tears of joy. Finally, their son had changed. From that day on, the boy became a completely different person. He was kind, respectful, and helpful. He started volunteering at an animal shelter and visited nursing homes. He even started attending church every Sunday. It had been a long journey, but in the end, everything worked out for the best. The moral of this story is that no matter how difficult it may seem, parents always know what's best for their children. They may make mistakes sometimes, but deep down, they only want the best for their kids. What do you think of the boy's parents? Let me know in the comments below. And that's all for today. See you next time.